to Nim and Nylene's Nightmare Cottage, where we discuss dark locations, sinister media, and other tales of the macabre. I'm Nim.
And I'm Nylene. Let the nightmare begin. Welcome to Nightmare Cottage. Another episode in this nightmarish cottage.
Nylene's just grumpy because we're still moving. And moving is hard. But the cottage is starting to come around. Did some baking, had the nightmare kitty being a nightmare.
He was being an absolute nightmare. But he was so cute while doing it.
He's super cute. So what?
So what are we talking about today?
I'm not done talking about Halloween.
Okay.
We talked about the kind of origins of Samhain and Halloween last time. So I'm going to do more of the history bit, but I'm going to zoom in on the trick-or-treating aspect. Before I start, because it's one of my favorite things ever, one of my favorite things that I watch every year at Halloween is Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. It is so quintessentially Halloween as far as the trick-or-treating and the pumpkins and the Halloween party. Everything about it makes me feel Halloween. Like it instantly puts me in the right vibe for Halloween. And my favorite quote from it is, "You've heard of the fury of a woman scorned, haven't you? Well, that's nothing compared to the fury of a woman who's been cheated out of tricks or treats."
Lucy, I'm guessing.
Linus.
Oh.
Because Sally stayed with him to wait for the Great Pumpkin, but the Great Pumpkin didn't show up, and so she missed trick-or-treating, and she missed the Halloween party, and she's, I've been robbed! I want restitutions!
I know you gave it to me, and I think the first year, Bash was just born, and then the second year is his first Halloween. But I need to watch it. It sounds really good. It has that comfy, cozy nostalgia feeling.
Exactly. And it's super short. It's like 20 minutes long. So it's not, an intensive thing. But if you're going to show the kiddo for the first time this year, I wouldn't mind being there if it's appropriate. But if not, and you just find a good window, just let me know what he thinks.
Definitely. I will say I'm sorry. I'm a little bit distracted. I'm listening outside, and you can hear the cicadas outside, and it's giving that extra spooky vibe, which I kind of like with Halloween. You can kind of feel the cold through the sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Kind of in reference to that, trick-or-treating to me is like the most Halloweeniest of Halloween things. It just kind of encapsulates the vibe more than anything else for me. You know that. And I'm kind of sad because trunk-or-treating is really a thing. I see the value in it.
I've never gone. Honestly, I don't see the value in it. And I know this may be a very unpopular opinion, but I'm just going to say it. I don't think that it's a good idea to teach children that they should walk up to strangers' cars and pull candy out of the trunk. I don't think that that's a good idea. I understand, you can explain it to them and be like, oh, well, we're wearing costumes and it's a thing and it's an event. But, I don't know. I think it sets, a really bad precedent to them. Depending on the age, I feel like having to kind of push apart, well, in this case, it's okay. In this case, it's not. I don't know. With my 2-year-old, I don't feel like I can properly explain that to him.
Compartmentalizing doesn't really seem like his bag.
Exactly. And he's a really smart kid. He can already count to 20 or 30. He says his full ABCs. He sings and says a bunch of great sentences. But even trying to explain to him the whole car situation of, Daddy's car has a boo-boo. He's stuck on that. That's as far as he will get. And I'm like, well, Daddy's car did have a boo-boo. Daddy's car went bye-bye. And he's like, it went bye-bye. It has boo-boo. And we're like, yes. And he goes, where'd Daddy's car? And we're like, this is Daddy's car. This is Daddy's new car. Oh, we got a new car today. No, we didn't get a new car today. We've had new car. But yes, well, Daddy's car has boo-boo. And it's like, okay, we're starting over. All right. And you keep going, right? You keep the pattern going, and he's getting better about it, which I'm just saying, those concepts, you can't really spread them that far for them. What age limit should we do trunk or treat?
I really legit never thought about it that way. My point of view is that while I understand that people want a contained area rather than going to random people's houses, that would be, I guess, the counter argument to that one. But because of trunk or treat, I get fewer trick-or-treaters.
Yeah, because they all just go to the church or something.
Right, but, it's probably best. I go all out on my treat bags. If I had too many more trick-or-treaters, I wouldn't be able to afford what I do, but...
I just wish there were more fall festivals. I think that's my big thing. We don't have enough fall festivals in this area.
Yeah, I think that might just be because of where we're at. I think smaller
Yeah.
towns might.
Well, we might need to hit up some of these smaller towns because I want that vibe, you know? I love the festivals but the ones here, it's a million people and you're just like, okay.
Right. Well, we just need to drive further away. Even if it's not quite what it used to be, trick-or-treating is just so close to my heart. I love it so much. I haven't gotten to take a kiddo doing that, and so I haven't done trick-or-treating since I was a kid, but being the house that makes the kids happy is definitely just one of my favorite things. So on that note, I'm going to just spew some trick-or-treat history directly at your face. Well, Nylene's face, I guess. Everybody else's ears.
Well, let's go.
Okay, so on the previous Halloween episode, we talked about the origins of Halloween, and we kind of brushed on the origins of trick-or-treating. I'm going to touch on that bit again and then go a little bit further than where I went before. But before I do you have a favorite past Halloween costume or trick-or-treat memory?
Oh, gosh. So I grew up very, very Catholic.
Ah.
Yeah, and my parents are first generation. It was they came over when they were young, but still, we weren't really allowed to go trick-or-treating or get dressed up because it was like,
Evil?
yeah,
Evil?
they felt like you were celebrating evil. Even at my school, because I went to a Catholic school, we used to do, actually, I think they just did pumpkins and stuff. Maybe we had a little like Halloween concert, but yeah, like dressing up wasn't a big thing. I think we went once when I was really little, and I remember going to, so there was this mall that's now closed down, and I don't remember what I was dressed as. I know when we were younger, like really, really young, you dress there's a video of me dressed as a rabbit, and I have the full face paint, and I'm crying my eyes out, and I have a carrot in my hand, and I was chewing on the carrot. I love carrots to this day. I just loved carrots all my life. But yeah, full white face with the little pink nose, just tears streaming down my face, screaming. And then, when I was older, I want to say maybe about 5 or 6 when we moved to the area, it was this mall and you just went from like department store to department store and got candy, trunk or treat for that time. I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was cool. But I don't remember being able to go after that. Really, my dad was just like, why? What's the point? You're just going to get a bunch of candy and they're going to get cavities. And, you can't dress up because then you're celebrating evil or something. I don't know if they really believed it or they were just like, listen, this is a dumb holiday. We're not doing this. I don't know. But it was really sad. And so when I got older, I think I was like maybe 15 or 16 the first time I did go with a friend. And me and her just made like little costumes. And it wasn't even like, dressing up as anything. It was just, like wear like a tutu, a long one with like purple and orange and black and just, do your makeup up in your hair and just have that was a lot of fun. And it was really my first time getting to go trick-or-treating that I fully remembered. But which kind of sucked, right? Because there's a lot of that like you're too old to go trick-or-treating.
Yes.
And it's okay, well, I wasn't allowed to when I was younger, and this is my first time, and I'm too old, so it sucked.
That story right there is, you haven't actually said that to me before, so I didn't know, and now I'm sad for you. but that kind of story is exactly why it does not matter who comes to my house trick-or-treating on Halloween. They all get a treat bag.
Right? Even I love, because the first year that I had Bash, he was a preemie. He had just come home.
Yes.
He was maybe 2 or 3 weeks old. So we couldn't go out.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to still celebrate. And so I, was giving out candy. And it was funny, all the parents in the neighborhood that were coming around with little babies in their stroller, they obviously can't have candy. They're still on milk, right?
Sure, but the parents can.
Exactly. And the parents were still dressed up. And some of them even put a lot of detail into the strollers. The candy's not for that kid, but it's still such a great fun experience, right?
The whole thing is about memories and just creating that kind of magic, I guess.
And that's why I kind of do like the houses that give you something other than candy. So I love the little bags you do. Even if it's not stuff I would normally play with. Okay, but for one night, I still have those stamps. That was so fun. The stamps and the stickers and the fun little pencil. I think one year you had one of the push pencils, the ones that have the little lid, and you push it up. Yeah, I love that pencil. And so it's things like that kind of make it more fun as an adult for me too, because I don't eat a lot of candy. But sorry, I went off on a tangent. But
no, I'm glad you did. That was great. I think the first year I remember trick-or-treating, me and my brother had these early 80s. It was a Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo I costume.
Yeah.
But I say costume in like italics, I guess, because it was like a smock with either a picture of the character or the name of the character and then the plastic mask. I'm actually sending you a picture here. That's not exactly what it looked like, but it was this kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, that is what 80s costumes looked like.
So I'm going to be real with you. I understand this was your childhood, but that is absolutely
This
horrifying.
is not my picture. I got this on Reddit.
I understand that, but...
Yeah.
Like,
that's what all of
the smock is cool, but the mask, was that real? Like...
It's just it's one of those cheapy plastic masks with the little elastic that goes around it.
Maybe it's because it's blurry for me that it looks extra scary, but like...
Yeah, when you enlarge that, it definitely made it look much more nightmarish.
Though, I loved Gumby. I know that you're talking about Scooby-Doo and Scrappy, but I loved Gumby as a kid. Anyways, moving on. Sorry. Tell me more about your brother and you and your Scooby-Doo costume.
So that's the earliest one I remember, and I couldn't have been more than 3.
Oh.
And then one of my favorite pictures that I've seen, and I have a memory of the Scrappy-Doo costume that I had, but I don't super remember. I kind of remember the hula skirt and the sweat. I was a hula girl, but it was cold. So I had sweatpants on with a hula skirt over top and then like a big white cable sweater on top. And I was maybe 4 at that point. The picture of it, I was so happy because I had a hula skirt on. I don't have that. I just need to find these pictures. I trick-or-treated until kind of late middle school, longer than I should have, but I wasn't really ready to let it go.
Do you think it was not as frowned upon to keep going when you were older? I feel like up until like the early 90s, right?
Well, I don't know.
Mid-90s, I guess.
And that's about when it was. Yeah. And I want to say I
feel like 2000s is really when things got weird.
Well, that's just because that's when it got weird for you, because you were like...
Fair enough. That's when I was old enough to understand that things just be weird sometimes.
Yes, exactly. But the last time I went with a friend and we had just kind of out of her closet and the makeup she had, we kind of did some kind of the crow thing, both of us. And
that's awesome.
And walked door to door and had several people give us the "you're too old for this shit" kind of thing. And it definitely kind of broke my heart.
Yeah.
But I never lost that. I mean, that was actually probably until I started doing my yearly Halloween parties. Me and Halloween kind of like lost our relationship. It was so sad. Anyways, now I'm going to get into my story now that we've spent a lot of time on this. But so we remember the ancient Celts doing the dressing up to confuse spirits and the Sidhe, or the Fae. And then later the church had been doing like the church does and adjusting pagan holidays
to different dates and stuff like that.
Right. Well, and trying to skew it, towards the church instead of towards the pagan revelries and whatnot. And then later on, it became tradition for the poor, and then later on, just kids in general, to go door to door exchanging prayers for the dead in exchange for soul cakes, which are kind of basically somewhere between like a shortbread and a sugar cookie with spices and dried fruit.
We talked about those last time.
Yeah. So I have a surprise. Told you I did some baking in the cottage earlier.
I was hoping it was chocolate. What do we have?
It's not chocolate. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I mean,
it's
sugar.
A cross between shortbread and a sugar cookie with some spices and dried fruit.
Kind of see that coming. Sorry.
So I made a traditional soul cake recipe. Here, I'm gonna...
You said it's shortbread?
It's not shortbread, but it's kind of like... Because it's not like a super rich, indulgent kind of cookie. It's kind of more like a tea cookie kind of situation, or a biscuit.
Is this powdered sugar on top?
That is powdered sugar on top.
Ooh, so it's like almost... like, I don't want to say a wet cookie because it's not wet, but it's like it's a moist cookie.
A wet cookie.
Well, the bottom, it looks nice and like...
Okay.
Moist.
Well, and see, that's the thing. I just follow the directions and I haven't tried them yet. How is it? Oh, holy crap.
So, these actually taste like Christmas to me. But, sorry, I probably shouldn't be talking while eating this cookie.
I know it's really rude to eat on a podcast.
I was about to say, you literally gave me a cookie, and you want me to start talking.
Yeah, so it kind of has that spice. Last time I made these, I did not do the powdered sugar on top. Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty necessary because it's such a...
Not sweet.
Yes, it's not sweet. The only thing I changed from the recipe, which I will link in the show notes, was I used dried cranberries instead of raisins because I had them and I like them better. Mm-hmm.
I'm about to say the dried cranberries are really good.
And then...
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna stop eating while I'm talking. I'll save the rest of mine for your story.
I really hope you guys can't hear me eating. Because these are delicious.
But yeah.
So tell me more about hoe cakes.
Soul
cakes.
Soul cake. Hoe cakes?
Oh.
Soul
Cakes.
Soul cakes.
Aren't hoe cakes like Louisiana? It's like corn.
I'm not familiar. I don't know if anybody can hear the Nightmare Kitty. He's being a nightmare. But
I'm telling you. They're like pancake type things or like, but made of corn. Hold on. Telling the real things. I understand these are not hoe cakes or soul cakes,
Mm-hmm.
but I made a mistake. But they're real. Hoe cakes. Southern hoe cakes. They're Johnny Jacks out of cornmeal and fried bacon grease. So yeah, like a little pancake, except it's made out of cornmeal instead of flour.
yes. This is not that.
No, but this is still delicious.
Yay.
Two completely different things.
I will say also, and if anybody's going to actually try to make the recipe that I made, that again, I will be linking in the show notes. When you're creaming butter and sugar together for a cookie, you need to do it for at least 20 minutes. I'm not kidding. 20
Until
minutes.
it like turns white.
Yes, but like, and then longer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I let these mix for, I don't know, like 30 minutes.
Mm.
And it's what makes that cookie soft. Because the last time I made these, they were not soft.
Does it have lemon in it?
No, there is a wee bit of orange juice. Just a wee bit.
That's what I'm tasting. I taste the citrus.
Yeah, I wanted to put that in there to go with the cranberry. That also was not called for in the recipe, so I guess I did more. But anyways, so that's soul cakes. Sorry, everybody, that you don't get to taste them, but you can if you make your own. Moving on. Later in the 1800s, in England, children would dress up as demons and monsters, knock on doors, and perform tricks of some kind, singing, dancing, do a flip or whatever in exchange for a treat.
Flip. Could you imagine?
Yeah, right? But they would do that in exchange for a treat. So they're performing a trick for a treat instead of give me a treat or I will trick you. Another piece of history that may have influenced modern day trick-or-treating was Guy Fawkes Night or Bonfire Night.
Oh, I read something about this. You might want to let that murder kitty in. He is losing his mind.
Good sir. In or out, dude. Come on.
He says, fine, if I must.
You must. Anyway.
Murder kitty is now in the room, so
Murder.
if you hear any random notes.
Yeah, murder kitty sounds.
Sorry, why did I call him murder kitty?
I don't know. Nightmare kitty.
kitty.
So Guy Fawkes Night is basically a remembrance of the conspiracy of the Catholic Church to blow up Parliament and take the Protestant king out of power.
And they started doing that instead of celebrating Halloween, right? Or do they do both?
It was just kind of a different thing. They would carry around little effigies and dance around the bonfire and beg people for pennies and say, penny for the guy, instead of trick or treat.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so you can't have my soul cake. It's my soul cake.
But
Kitty.
he wants
Do
more
you see
souls.
this? Do you see this?
He needs more souls.
Yeah, as soon as I take out the camera to take a picture of this ridiculous cat, he runs away. Yeah, so Guy Fawkes Night is another, they've kind of tied some of the tradition into trick-or-treating as well. So in the 1840s and 1850s, we had the Irish potato famine that unfortunately killed over 1 million Irish, and then over 1 million also immigrated outside of Ireland, and a lot of those people came to the U.S. As we know, the United States is very well known for how much we obsess about Halloween these days, so it kind of started for us then. When they immigrated to the U.S., they brought their customs and traditions with them. Over time, the traditions grew and spread, but unfortunately, the mischief aspect of the holiday kind of became more of a thing. It kind of peaked in the Great Depression. They were basically taking that night and using it as a free pass to do whatever pranking and mischief you want to do.
So Purge Light.
Yeah, it was totally socially acceptable. Everybody was like, you go.
Just
do
go
your...
F some ass up.
Yeah, but they would like take gates off of their hinges and do like little things that weren't really all that bad.
Just like real rude.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, just something really inconvenient.
Right, but not so much the permanent damage. But it really did start to ramp up over time, and in the Great Depression is when it really kind of hit its peak. If you've heard of Black Tuesday, which is the day that the stock market fell for the Great Depression, right? This was Black Halloween, is what they call it. Across the entire country, it was really getting out of hand. People were flipping cars over. They were sawing down telephone poles.
So it did turn into Purge Light. For real. Like real hardcore.
Not so much the murder bits of that.
Yeah, but like, I mean, if you're like bringing down a telephone pole, I mean, doesn't that, I mean...
I mean, yes. super unreasonable amounts of property damage. And this is at a time when nobody had any money, right?
Yeah.
Like resources were scarce and not everybody had extra money for repairs and things like that. So it really kind of got out of hand. So you would think that, people would be interested in, trying to cancel Halloween. And I think that a lot of people tried to do that. But the smart ones provided something that would be a distraction and give them something to do other than the mischief. So they created these community events. So instead of trying to cancel Halloween, they gave them more options, more community-based things. This is where trick-or-treating really started to get picked up and supported by communities and neighborhoods, costume parties that were for the entire town, hay rides, and even early haunted houses started popping up around this time too, or were popularized around this time. Moving a little bit further beyond that, once we hit World War II, we're dealing with a sugar ration situation. So the candy companies weren't able to just produce a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. Trick-or-treating kind of mellowed out for a little bit.
I wonder if they try to give something else out instead.
Well,
I wonder if maybe that's where giving out, I guess not, because people were, really hungry. If they wouldn't be giving out, apples and food.
Well, no, actually, that's exactly what they would do.
Really?
Is fruits and nuts, a
Maybe
penny.
baked goods or...
Yeah, that too, yes. So that was a thing. But after World War II was over, and, everything got so prosperous and the 50s became the 50s and suburbia was just exploding all over the place. That's really when trick-or-treating, as we know it now, really kind of took off because the candy companies now realize that, now we can make individually wrapped treats that are perfect for trick-or-treating. And that's when they started to kind of overtake. It just became more convenient to use the purchased individually wrapped candies instead of doing fruit and nuts and things like that. This is also around the time that pre-made costumes could be bought at 5 and dime stores and instead of just piecing together what you have around, which of course is still a very valid way to put together a Halloween costume.
But I feel like we have more, I don't know if more tools. Yeah, I feel like we have more tools now readily available to us than we did back then. So, I do feel like we can pull off some really impressive stuff now. But even back at that time, it was pretty cool what we could put together. I know Ace's mom used to make all of his costumes. She made him a dinosaur costume once and he had a full tail that she sewed together and made. It was so cool.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
I just put some pictures up for you to see of some old ass Halloween costumes.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty terrifying.
This is horrifying. What?
Yeah,
are they supposed to be gnomes? That is terrifying.
Something. I don't know, but they're terrifying.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, continuing on. So now I'm going to kind of shift more into modern Halloween. And I say that, the things that we've done over the last several decades, we assume that we're following Halloween traditions from hundreds of years ago, but we're also still following Halloween traditions from a decade ago.
Yeah.
A few years ago, yesterday.
Like you said, trunk or treat. I feel like that's a pretty recent one.
Right. One thing that was huge when I was growing up was checking your candy.
Yeah.
Don't forget to check your candy. I remember standing in line with my mom somewhere. I don't know if it was the police station or if it was a rec center or what, but we were waiting for our candy to be x-rayed.
What?
I feel like we only did that a couple of years.
I was that was a real thing.
That was a real thing, yeah. I do advocate checking candy still, but it's super highly, highly unlikely that anything's going to be contaminated or stuck in there. Nobody's going to be giving your kids drugs because nobody's going to pay money for drugs and then give them away.
So you say that, but, not to get too off topic, wasn't there that guy that said he contaminated a bunch of, children's Tylenol or something like that?
You're crossing about 3 stories with what you just said. There's the 1982 Tylenol situation where several people died because of taking Tylenol that had been, I think, injected with cyanide or arsenic. I don't remember which, but they basically were injected into the bottles and went off everywhere and people died. But that's a totally different story. And then you're also thinking about a story that I'm going to tell here in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. There are real situations that happened, but it's super, super, super rare when these things do happen.
Yeah.
And most of the stories you've heard are false. But we'll talk about that in a second.
I do advocate for checking through candy still, but it's highly, highly unlikely that you will ever encounter any tampering. It is also unlikely that anyone is going to give out free jugs to kids. I'll be linking in the show notes the Food and Drug Administration's tips for safe trick-or-treat experiences, so you can find the rational things that you can do. So very few of these stories are based on any kind of fact, but I did find a few, so those are the ones I'm going to cover.
In the November 2nd, 1964 edition of the New York Times, which I can also link there, it was reported that 47-year-old Helen Feil, P-F-E-I-L.
Ooh, P-F-E-I-L?
Yeah, so Pfizer is P-F, right?
I think it's file, maybe?
File, we'll go with file.
Okay.
She was committed to a mental hospital for handing out poison to trick-or-treaters. So apparently she made up little packets of ant poison, steel wool, and dog biscuits to hand out. But she swore up and down that it was meant to be a prank for the older kids, and so that she told them what she was giving them.
Why would you, even as a prank, give them poison? That doesn't make any sense.
It's a fantastic question. So Helen was a mother of 2, and her
I understand being like, I've been salt instead of sugar. Like, even then, like, that's rude, but, like, also, like, not poison.
Or those Skittles I handed out that one year, and you got mad at me?
Oh my god, yes! Because I was like, what is this? They were like, weren't they like, oh yeah, they were supposed to taste like rot or something like that.
So it was like a surprise Skittle. It was a pack of Skittles that were like sour or whatever, but there was like one in there that tasted like just like death.
Why would you do that? You're a bad person.
Trick or treat.
Jesus.
Anyways, let's talk about this bitch. Which actually, as I did some more research, I don't know, I'm not sure what I feel about it, but apparently she had 2 kids. Her husband was adamant that she wasn't a violent or demented person, but they did end up committing her to a mental institution, and the judge at her trial was quoted as saying, "It's hard for me to understand how any woman with sense or reason could give this to a child." Correct.
Yeah.
However, so in my digging, I couldn't find any more information about her or what happened to her after she was committed. So part of me wonders how much of this was a situation of, I don't know. I always kind of feel sideways when a woman gets sent to a mental institution. It makes me
because
wonder.
You know that they were treated extra bad?
Well, also, a lot of them were committed for things they didn't do.
Oh yeah, just to like get them away from the house, right? Because they would believe the man, whatever. I feel like that's one of the American Horror Stories was based off of too.
Yeah. So while if she did this, that's totally heinous, and she deserved what she got, and that's that. I just I do wish I could have found more information. If anybody else has any more information about Helen Feel, I looked her up on Ancestry.com, and there was too many, and there was a few different ones in New York at that time, so it was. I didn't have any luck.
Yeah.
I tried. So, moving on. In 1974, 30-year-old Ronald Clark O'Brien, this is the one that I told you that you were switching up before. Ronald Clark O'Brien showed himself to be a complete piece of shit. In general, just as a person, something to know, he'd been fired from like 20 jobs in 10 years. He was financially fucked, super in debt. So he tried to hatch a plot to try to steady his life back, like get back on track. And we'll get back to that. So basically, even though he never really cared about Halloween, never made a big deal about taking the kids trick-or-treating, in 1974, he was super jazzed about it. He was really excited to take the kids out. It was drizzling a little bit, but he figured, it's a little bit of rain, no big deal.
Yeah.
And then at one point, he gives a pixie stick to each kid, to each of his kids, the friend that came with them, and then handed one to a random
child.
Or like in their trick-or-treating later that night or something like that. But there were 5 of them. When they got back home, each of his 2 kids, were allowed one piece of candy before bed, and his son, Timothy, chose the pixie stick. Minutes after he ate it, he was convulsing in a lot of pain, so they rushed him to the hospital, and unfortunately, he passed away pretty quickly.
Oh, no.
O'Brien acted like he was grieving and tried to assist in the investigation, like going door to door, seeing, what he remembered about people handing stuff out. But soon the police discovered that he had taken out large life insurance policies on both of his kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Apparently the amount that he took out for them equaled out to about what his debt was. A little bit more. They also found out that he had been asking around at chemical supply places about cyanide and jokingly asked how much it would take to kill a person.
And someone answered him like a dum-dum?
I don't know, but they did say that there was about an inch of cyanide in the end of the pixie stick in each one. They ended up getting all of them back. His son was the only one that ended up ingesting it before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so the other kids were safe. They didn't end up having that problem, but there was like an inch of it in there, and it was like 2 to 3 times as much needed to kill a full-grown man.
Oh no. So they probably didn't actually answer him. He just guesstimated.
Right, is my assumption, yeah. But
I wanted to make sure there was enough.
But people were able to report that when being questioned by the cops. Yes, in fact, he was doing this thing. So he was arrested for the murder of Timothy O'Brien on November 5th, 1974, so just a few days later.
That's horrible.
Yes. It's thought that he assumed that poisonings on Halloween happened all the time because it was such a big urban legend.
That it wouldn't be questioned.
That it would just be assumed it was some random evil person and they would never figure it out.
I can't.
Yeah. He was executed by lethal injection on March 31st, 1984, 10 years after.
Oh my gosh.
And just because it was in the research, his last meal, would you like to know?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think that's, yeah.
Oh, good, because I did that for something later, too. It consisted of T-bone steak, medium to well done, French fries and ketchup, whole kernel corn, sweet peas, lettuce and tomato salad with egg and French dressing, iced tea, sweetener, saltines, Boston cream pie, and rolls.
That is an insane. I mean, I guess if it's your last one.
I mean,
but real quick, not to get too off topic, what would be your last meal?
I don't know, but I feel like queso would be involved somehow.
Yes, I would need queso. Man, some type of okay, so there's this really good, I'm gonna say, definitely queso, some type of taco. Oh, the cheesiest pizza. I just need cheese and pineapple because I'm a horrible person. And some type of chocolate cake. Because depending on what you're feeling that day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, if we're talking, if we can put together, if pizza can be added to tacos, you're right. I would probably just want a little something from all of my favorite cuisines, like some kind of sushi.
They have to have a limit, right? Of the cost or amount that they'll give you.
I heard on another podcast that there used to not be any kind of a limit, and then some asshole asked for something completely ridiculous, and now there is a limit, but I don't know the details. I don't remember.
Yeah, I wonder where they draw the line.
Well, perhaps that's in another episode.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, not fun. Shit, sorry. Nervous laughter.
Oh my.
All right. So yeah, there were more of those. They're taking a lot of time right now, so I'm going to kind of wrap up with a quote from Joel Best, who is a professor of sociology and criminal justice at the University of Delaware, about why society still obsesses over nefarious trick-or-treat practices. And that quote is, "We've stopped believing in ghosts and goblins, but we still believe in criminals." So that's why that's such a terrifying thing, and it's so hard to be scared by the things that go bump in the night. The more we know about stuff, and that's still, people are terrifying.
Yeah.
So
you never know what they'll do.
So that's trick-or-treats.
Oddly enough, my thing that I went over relates to trick-or-treating and what crazy things people will do, and you never know why they'll do it. So today we're going to talk about, so this is the murder that was done by Lendl Peoples on Halloween in 2011. On the evening of October 31st, 2011. Have you heard of Lendl Peoples?
I haven't.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I just needed to ask that real quick.
Sure.
Okay. So you haven't heard of Lendl Peoples before. On the evening of October 31st, 2011, Chicago Fire Department ambulance commander Michael Nolan and his partner were the first to respond to a 911 call at the home of 55-year-old Lendl Peoples. Commander Nolan reported that he and his partner found 49-year-old Maria Adams lying on the ground face down in a pool of blood. They turned Adams over and they noticed multiple actively bleeding lacerations and blood. So it sounds like she's still alive, right? If it's still bleeding.
Where's this at again? I'm sorry.
Chicago.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Upon turning Adams over, they noticed multiple actively bleeding lacerations and puncture wounds to her face, cheeks, and hands. So she's pretty slashed up, right? Commander Nolan stated that Adams was unresponsive, had low blood pressure, a weak pulse, and her eye response was sluggish. So all of this indicates that she has, blunt force trauma to the head. Something happened to her head. Another officer at the same time responded, right? Because the first one was the fire department, the people, first response, right? Rescue team. And this is just a police officer who came just to see what was going on. Sean Davidson was a police officer that reported to the scene. And he said that Peoples was just on his front porch. He seemed calm, collected, like there wasn't just a half-dead lady laying inside of his house. And he said that he asked him what was going on. And he responded with, "That bitch is crazy. Oh, she threw a plate at my head. Calm and collected, just that bitch is crazy. Crazy happened." So when the officer went inside the home, he also noticed a lot of blood at the scene, broken dishes. He had 3 knives that were sitting in the kitchen sink. And EMTs at the scene, they said they treated Peoples for just a minor cut over his right eye. And he said that injury was caused by Adams throwing a plate at his head. to which he responded by stabbing her multiple times. So detectives noticed that after the altercation took place, people got dressed, and then he called 911. So we're going to get more into it. That's just the basics of what happened. This gets very gruesome, so just trigger warning, it's going to be real crazy here in a little bit.
I mean, he already stabbed the fuck out of her in response to
You don't know what, do you?
her throwing a plate as far as what he's saying. But okay, all right, so apparently there's more.
Yes. So Maria Adams was then transported by ambulance to the hospital. She was examined by a trauma surgeon, and they said that she was unconscious. She was unable to breathe on her own, and she had significant blood loss. When they examined her body, they noticed that she had about 20 stab wounds, and that it seemed to come from someone who had been holding a knife in each hand at the same time, stabbing her. So she also suffered blunt force trauma to her head and had internal bleeding under her scalp. And it was noted that her injuries seemed consistent with being stomped or slammed to the floor. She also had defensive wounds to the tops of her hands and fingers, as if she put her hands up to defend herself. She ended up being pronounced deceased on November 5th, so a few days later, from brain death and cerebral edema. So she struggled for a few days, right, but eventually passed. I actually found the original court case information for this case, which was insane. It's like 27 or 30 pages, and it is quite a roller coaster from start to finish. So this is just like a condensed version of everything that happened.
Is this the bit you had texted me about being super fascinated about what
Yes, and I felt really bad because I was so fascinated by it. Obviously, someone died, but they do focus more on the trial of trying to prove that he really is guilty and that he did this on purpose. So, upon questioning on November 1st, he agreed to submit a written statement. Following is his summarized statement. So, Lendell People stated that he was an ordained minister. Good start. He met Maria Adams, who worked as a prostitute 4 years earlier. And over the years, he'd given her money and gifts in exchange for sex. And she would often come and spend the night at his home. On the night of October 31st, Peoples noticed that a bag of Halloween candy was missing. And he remembered that items often went missing whenever Adams stayed the night. So he confronted her, and she denied taking the candy. People stated he then found candy in her coat pocket and confronted her again about stealing the candy. In response, he states that Adam threw a glass plate at him, which hit him in the eye. He felt blood dripping from his head. This angered him, so he walked towards her screaming. He stated that Adams then grabbed 2 steak knives, came at him, and then he stated that he wrestled her to the ground and forced the knives out of her hand. At this point, he's on top of Adams. He's really angry. He wanted revenge. So he picked up the knives and started swinging at her, aiming for her eye. While swinging the knife at her head, he cut up her head, arms, and hands. Peoples then stated he stopped stabbing when Adams turned over and was no longer fighting back. He then grabbed her by the hair, slammed her head into the floor 3 times, and he stated that she was still moaning, but he thought she might just be faking it. So he got more angry, thinking about how she might be just trying to get away with this, and permanently scarred him on purpose from the plate she threw at him. He also felt that maybe she was being ungrateful for all the kindness he'd given her over the years. Keep in mind, this is his statement. This is what he wrote and stated.
How did it say how long they had been seeing each other? In
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
4 years, yeah. So yeah, he felt like she might have been ungrateful for his kindness over the years. So he decided he was going to stomp her on the back and on her head, grabbed the largest knife he could find from the kitchen, noted she was laying still, but still breathing, so he poked her with the knife to see if she would move. When she didn't move, he stated he thought about putting her outside, but he was concerned that the police would trace her back to him, as they had sex an hour earlier. So he was also concerned that police would get, quote, the wrong idea, and suspect it was rape or attempted murder or something. He waited about 5 to 10 minutes before he decided to get dressed, put the knives in the sink, and call 911. So that's his statement. Just right off the bat, a few red flags with the statement, right?
Just a couple.
just a couple. I mean, he's a pastor, and then he just lost his shit over missing Halloween with a prostitute that he's been employing for God knows how long. I don't know what to do with any of that.
Sex worker.
I apologize. You're right. Sex worker, sex positive. I apologize. I'm so sorry about that. If any of this is true, it does seem like she escalated it a bit by throwing the plates and grabbing the knives, but it should have stopped when he wrestled her to the ground and was like, hey, don't have anything to stab me with. Let's like not keep going with this, right?
Right.
But instead, I feel like at that point it would have been self-defense. But then he just went on and like continuously stabbed her, slammed her head into the floor. It's excessive force, any way you put it, right? After the attack, you notice he didn't mention anything about getting her help. He instead decides to just get dressed, call the police, only so that it's not traced back to him as something more malicious, right? I'm not sure how he thought it could have been painted as anything other than the aggressor in the situation, but at least he didn't try to like clean up the scene or crime scene or anything like that.
That's that toxic masculinity that just, I'm in the right no matter how fucked up it is.
It's insane to me.
It is.
So in the testimony of the trial, he started backpedaling a little bit, okay? He kind of made it seem more like he was trying to defend himself and less like he was maliciously attacking her out of revenge, as he wrote in his statement to the police. So just a few things to note from his testimony. He stated that he was just asking her to let go of the knives, and then they slipped in his blood and ended up on the floor instead of the previous statement of wrestling her to the ground. Yes, he literally tried I slipped and fell. The knife just went into her. Yes, this is what his testimony. And then he also stated that after this, he noticed the blood on his knees from being scraped up because he was just wearing boxer shorts. So that's when he started to defend himself, he says, and that he only grabbed her by the hair to move her out of the way, and that he only threatened her with the knife to get her to stop fighting with him. He didn't want to hurt her or kill her, but he was forced to swing knives at her to keep her off of him and prevent her from killing him first. People stated that she was, quote, still moving and didn't look hurt when he called the police. She didn't look hurt. She was just laying in a pool of blood, but she didn't look hurt. It's fine. And that he didn't see any of her blood, just his own. And he didn't see any wounds because, quote, all of her hair and stuff. I'm not laughing because I think this is funny. I'm laughing because I'm like,
because it's
the
absurd.
Absolute absurdity of like going into this courtroom after providing a written statement and being like, I slipped and fell and just stabbed her 20 times on accident, and there wasn't any blood. She had all her hair in her face. Like, what are you talking about? When asked specifically if he stomped on her head, he mentioned that he didn't stomp on her head on purpose, that while trying to get her off of him, he might have got her some, quote, but it was just self-defense.
Oh my God.
When specifically asked if he stomped on her back, he said, quote, he went over her, and that his left foot touched her a little bit.
I don't understand what he thinks he's saving at this point.
I don't either. And I think that just lends itself to not just the ridiculousness of the crime itself, but also to the way that the way he thinks, you know what I mean, and his mentality. And I feel like that plays a big part in this. Again, very obviously it paints a very different picture than what he wrote in his statement. And this was noted in the trial. They asked him about the differences in his signed statement and what he said in court, to which he responded to, quote, he was falling in love with her, and he didn't remember saying that he slammed her head into the ground or that he thought about hiding her body. He also denied stomping on her head after calling the police and said he just touched her with his foot to see if she needed help or if she was still trying to do something sneaky.
Doing something sneaky.
Yes,
wow.
That was the only reason he was kicking her at the end. He just wanted to make sure she wasn't doing anything sneaky. And that he didn't act in revenge, that he was just defense after she hit him in the head. So pretty much he's at this point realized he's hosed. He's decided to try to claim self-defense to a victim that can't defend themselves anymore. During his trial, it also came up that Peoples had 3 prior felony convictions, 2 that were drug-related, and 1 for theft. So his defense tried to argue that he was diagnosed with schizophrenia at age 29 and that his felonies were for nonviolent offenses, so it shouldn't even be considered as part of this trial.
Oh.
Yes. So in sentencing, the court stated that it weighed the evidence presenting an aggravation and mitigation, defendant's elocution, his age, his rehabilitative potential, and nonviolent background, noting that this was, quote, a very violent offense, end quote, with many stab wounds, and that the reason for death, quote, certainly was out there as one of the most senseless, ridiculous reasons. So in the end, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for first-degree murder of Maria Adams over a supposedly stolen bag of candy. Happy Halloween.
So we don't know what any of the real motives were or anything?
I mean, that was the real motive. The real motive was that he was mad that she wouldn't admit to the fact that she took his Halloween candy and that he'd noticed other things had gone missing before. Now, like I said, he did have some felonies on his record, and they did notice that there was some drug use happening from both of them at that time. So they think that it might have had something to do with it, right? They were both just very heated and very drugged up and got insane. I don't understand how you go from one to the other, but
it's nothing compared to the fury of a man who's been cheated out of tricks or treats.
Oh, that's even worse because she's a sex worker. Good. Okay.
Well,
I think we should go over Nightmare Fuel first, and then I have a Halloween horoscope to go over.
Oh, okay, all right. So I do have some Nightmare Fuel.
Okay.
So it's really tough for me because I have 11 billion Halloween things I would love to recommend.
It's a good number.
Yeah, it's an accurate number. Yeah.
I believe you.
But I'm going to land on a book called All Hallows by Christopher Golden. I think it came out last year. It's set in 1984 on Halloween, and it follows like several people in a neighborhood and the various festivities in town and the horror that happens within. But it's very much the Halloween vibe. It's an easy read. It's not like a hardcore literature or anything like that. It's horror. It's a fun kind of, I want to say slasher horror. It's not exactly slasher, but it's small town festivities at Halloween and the murders that go with them.
Nice. Is it a long read or a short one?
No, I want to say it was like 300 and something pages.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's like just kind of a standard like beach read kind of situation, but like Halloween style.
And I'm assuming it's on Kindle?
Absolutely, it is on. Yeah, it's mass market, so it's available on Audible, on ebooks, everywhere, in stores.
So you said it's slashery, so it is a little gory.
I don't remember it being very gory. I read it last year right when it came out, and it was freaking great.
Oh, good.
Let me just real quick with...
Is it nighttime safe?
Nighttime safe?
Yes. I get spooked easily at night.
Yeah. Okay, it's 325 pages, and I don't really think it was gory. The tags on it don't lend it... yeah, there's probably some level of that, but there's families and stuff involved, and I think they kind of... Usually when there's kids involved, they keep it pretty mellow.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's my Nightmare Fuel.
Awesome. So my Nightmare Fuel, it was a movie I actually watched recently. I don't know if you've heard of it, Pearl?
Yes!
Okay, so I actually just watched that the other day. Apparently it was made in 2022, but it has like a really vintage look and feel of like an 80s film.
Yeah, it's those A24 films and like all... Mia Goth, who is she has like a slew of movies that are all fantastic.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Yeah, no, I loved her as an actress, but I would say it's not spooky or scary, but it does have that American Psycho feel to it very much, and minimal gore. I would say closer to the end it gets a little more gory. I wouldn't say gory if you're just seeing a lot of things, but it's not like splashing around everywhere.
Gotcha.
I think there is like a lot of implied violence, so it takes place, I think, in the world, right? I feel like it's more like right around maybe the 20s or 30s, because it said it said people were at war.
So it was probably during the 40s then.
40s.
I don't remember. It's been a bit.
Yeah, because there were silent films, so probably around the 40s or 50s.
Silent films was actually more the 20s. It might have been World War One.
Oh, maybe that makes sense.
I guess I'll have to watch it and see.
Yeah, so if you're looking for something fun to watch this Halloween, I think it was on, I'm a liar, I think it was on Netflix. Let me double check. But yeah, it's really great. It's a good movie. It's not too long, and it's a fun one. Yeah, Pearl. So yeah, it's definitely on Netflix. Just watch it when you have time. So we've been talking about a lot of really heavy stuff today.
Yes, indeed.
So like I said, I think we're going to do a Halloween horoscope. So you can choose. We can either do an actual Halloween horoscope, or we can do the Halloween costume that each zodiac sign should wear. I think we'll do both.
Okay.
So let's see. This is really important. So I am a Capricorn. So Capricorn. So Capricorn should be the Joker. You've known you're a champion for underdogs, and you can't help but want to dominate the world. Enter the Joker, a character who represents every misfit and their desire to take revenge on a world that has largely ignored them. You tend to be a rather controlled and stoic personality, but that doesn't mean you don't have the wild impulses. Dressing up as a Joker, whether it be Joaquin Phoenix, Heath Ledger, or even Jared Leto version, will help you express so much latent frustration. I don't know.
That tracks.
You think so?
Parts of it, the stoic bits and...
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love to see how other people see you. You said you are a Scorpio. Okay. So you're Regina George from Mean Girls.
For Halloween, that's not even a bad...
You know that deep down, you've always wanted to be the one in control of the situation. Enter Regina George, our favorite 2000s era queen bee, a character that could be none other than a Scorpio at heart. Thanks to the recent musical Mean Girls. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, I saw it on Amazon. I just stumbled upon it. It was interesting. I liked it. I like the musical aspect. I'm a sucker for musicals.
Same.
But it was great. I wouldn't say it was as good as the original, but it had a fun, different quality to it.
Worth a look.
Yeah, so thanks to the recent musical, Mean Girls has been a resurgence in the latest trends, bringing back millennial aesthetics that could never be forgotten. Capture the moment by dressing up as Regina George and personally victimizing everyone around you.
Wow.
That sounds nothing like you.
It really doesn't feel like me. And
now, I think Monkey definitely should dress as Regina George. I think it
on
would
Tuesdays
definitely,
we wear pink.
It would definitely victimize everyone around him at that point. Okay, so let's see. Because Halloween 2024 hasn't quite happened yet, it's a little upset at trying to find me one. So hold on. Read it. And this is how you get a virus. Do you want to get a virus? This is how you get a virus. Okay, so I'm Capricorn. We'll do Capricorn first. My Halloween horoscope for Capricorn. On Halloween, you will find that your dreams can come true. You didn't see it so clearly before, but the energy of the day is going to encourage you to work much harder so that those internal changes you are making have their result. I like that. You could celebrate Halloween with the people you feel good with, or you could organize a theme party or a fun get-together.
With the people that you don't feel good with.
Yes, exactly. Insist on betting on your happiness because little by little, the toxic is leaving your life.
Oh, that's lovely.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that feels so good. Okay, let's see.
The Scorpio, you're a bitch. Fuck you.
Pretty much that's what happened last time. Okay, so Scorpio. On October 30th, Mars enters retrograde. Well, it's always with yours. It's like something entering something.
Always entering that gate.
Always, yes. So on March 30th, Mars enters retrograde. And this phenomenon warns you that you have to do a little on your part to slow down and not go through life without knowing very well what you are doing. I disagree. Make sure that your actions correspond to what your heart feels and do not carry it away by outbursts of impulsiveness that you will feel in the field of love. That is hilarious.
Not a word of that sounds like me.
Monkey is also like, I don't feel like he's that impulsive.
No, I'm definitely not fucking impulsive. Impulsive is not a word that anybody would use to describe me.
On Halloween, you should let yourself be persuaded by the idea of watching movies at home with sweets and more.
That's trick-or-treat night. Of course I will be doing that. Me and Monkey will sit on the porch and we'll hand out candy and then we'll watch horror movies and it'll be great.
Or you could just come over and watch cute movies with Bashy.
I'm off that day, so...
Interesting. Noted.
Yes. we might plot and plan.
I believe this is the end to our Halloween series for this one.
For now. I really... There was so many other topics I really could have covered, so... But I do think we'll revisit Halloween in future episodes. There's just so much there, but we'll wait a while. We have so many cool things to cover.
Yes, I have so many ideas already. I'm not excited about the next one for you because I think I might know what you're doing to me. But I guess we'll see what happens.
very excited for the next topic.
I just feel like every week things get worse for me.
Is it your nightmare?
Oh my goodness. It is my nightmare in the Nightmare Cottage. Good night, guys.
If you have topic suggestions, movie or book recommendations, questions for the cottage, or just want to say hi, you can email us at nightmarecottage@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at Nightmare Cottage and on our website at nightmarecottage.com. Sleep tight, if you dare.